An unknown power has brought unrest to the sanctuary.
Hello Epic 7, and welcome to my expedition guide for the rotation starting January 2024. This time we will be tackling the Earth, Light, and Water expeditions. I will discuss each one of these expeditions in turn, demonstrating my favorite full clear, full auto teams, and discussing some alternate units that can be used. Now, these are not the only teams that work. These are just what are, in my opinion, the best, easiest, and most effective teams. If you have ideas for alternate teams, please post them in the comments section. I'm sure that people who don't have these units will really appreciate your ideas. First, let's jump into the Earth Expedition, or what I like to refer to as the Losers Club. This team consists of units that are just not used anywhere else in the game. For this team, we're going to use Ball and Sazan, Bomb Model Kana, Fire Cecilia, and Mercedes. On Cecilia, you'll need 85% effectiveness because she is a great source of strips and defense breaks. I like her north of 200 speed, in fact the faster the better with Cecilia, and enough bulk to stay alive. Sword of Azera will really help her not die. Next, in place of a healer, we'll be running Bomb Model Kana on Bloodstone. Get Bomb Model Kana as close to 200 speed as you can and load the rest into damage. She really doesn't need anything else except for the Bloodstone artifact. With Kana on the Bloodstone artifact, she will be the healer for the entire party. Now if you don't have Bloodstone, you'll need to run Mascot Hazel in her place. Mascot Hazel is a fantastic option. She attack buffs the whole team, keeps everybody healthy, and she works just fine in place of Bomb Model Kana. But Bomb Model Kana on Bloodstone will make this a far faster and more efficient team. For a debuffer, we're going to run Ball and Sazan. Ball and Sazan actually does really good damage in this. He is a consistent defense break and a source of the slow debuff, both of which are very important in this fight. All of his attacks are multi-target, so the crystal gets hit plenty of times. If you don't want to run Ball and Sazan, you can get away with running Fire Tenebria in his place, though it is less efficient. I have Ball and Sazan on Edika's Scepter to help him cycle his skills. For a principal damage dealer, I'm running Mercedes. All of Mercedes' skills hit multiple targets, and with Magic for Friends, she procs so many extra attacks that you'll really have no problem maintaining the Neurotoxin Antidote buff. There are alternate DPSs to Mercedes, but she's a free unit. You can run her on your standard RTA or Guild Wars build and be very successful, whether on counter or destruction or even injury. Just load her up on this team and watch her fly. At the start of the fight, Cecilia will give everybody immunity, which protects you from the poisons the Lich puts on your team. Ball and Sazan applies a defense break and hopefully the slow debuff. Bomb Model Kana takes off and gives everyone a speed buff.
Here comes the grand finale.
And Mercedes S3 gives everybody an attack buff.
To the ends of futility.
The tech of this fight is that first, single target attacks do greatly reduce damage, like 90% less.
Obey me.
And also, you need to hit the crystal multiple times until his skill null is removed. Once his skill null is removed, the next hit applies antidote to your entire team. Without this antidote, the Lich will eventually apply Neurotoxin, which will practically wipe your team. Every time you take a turn with Neurotoxin on and no antidote, you lose the bulk of your health and can die to a sneeze. What's great about this team is everybody is a multi-target hit. Everybody hits the Lich and the crystal, so you will have no problem maintaining the antidote. And as long as you're maintaining the antidote, with Kana healing the team, it really can't fail.
He'll be destroyed.
Now, I know people are going to ask about Kayn, so I tried it. I ran Kayn in place of Mercedes, and you know what? It worked, but not well. Kayn just doesn't do enough AoE attacks. His single target attacks barely do any damage. He doesn't bring a lot of value to this expedition. Sure, you can use him if you're just desperate to use him, but Mercedes is just simply better in every single way.
Bones to sand.
Blood to dust. Lance of steel. Obey me. Obey me.
My lady.
Fall away.
Magnificent.
Ha! I'm gonna be in so much trouble after this. Oh well.
Here we go.
Disappear, evil one.
Are you ready, my lady? Trivial fools.
Call, unveil your eye of terror. Obey me. Obey me.
Bones to sand.
Blood to dust. I will break through. Obey me. Obey me. Bombs away! Oops, did I forget to ask first? Ha!
My lady?
Blaze! You'll be destroyed. Fall away!
Magnificent.
Grant me the strength to destroy evil. Obey me.
Are you ready, my lady? Trivial fools.
Next, we'll tackle the Light Expedition. Brieg trivializes the Light Expedition. If you don't have Brieg, then Cecilia is a fantastic option, and you can also get away with Ras as well, though you'll probably need to put your Cerise on Misconophile because of lack of defense breaks. Now, if you're tired of seeing this, where everybody does 0 damage and you're left holding the bag with an expedition that doesn't complete, he will let you solo these expeditions all by yourself. With Brieg, my clears are big time overkill. So much so that if you struggle keeping him alive, you can swap him to Sword of Azera. In fact, I have had some struggles with him in Arc Expedition, and Sword of Azera has fixed that. I think 190 to 200 speed is plenty. He's an HP scaler, so you want to focus on HP over attack. Because he gives himself 50% effectiveness, you only need 35 effectiveness on him to get that 85%. His S3 has a defense break and a slow, which is fantastic because both of those are very useful. I went ahead and mulleted his S1 for extra damage, but you really don't need to. Like I said, this was way overkill. You only need to mullet his S3 for the extra turn, and if you have trouble with survivability, you can mullet his S2. I'm running him on Wings of Light and Shadow because it's a huge damage booster, and a stat stick with the plus 15 crit chance. With that, you only need 70% crit to be at 100%. His 15% from his passive, and the 15% from Wings. I'm probably going to shift him down to Sword of Azera though, just to make sure he's more survivable in the water and dark expeditions. You could also run Mort's artifact, or even his own artifact, or heck, you could run that free expedition damage artifact that we all got. It's really player's choice on the artifact here. Just give him 6 pieces of gear and some crit chance, and watch him rock this expedition. Carmen Rose is now semi-replaceable on this team. You see, Brieg's got strips, Cerise's got strips and buff block. Carmen Rose is still precision built for this expedition. She does a tremendous amount of damage. She brings her own strip, she brings her own slow debuff, she brings her own buff block, and she is great for damage. She can wear Caladra artifact, which boosts her damage by 30% when the boss has a debuff, and let's be real, the boss always has a debuff. Her S1 self-heals her with the vampirism buff. I strongly recommend Zealot Carmen Rose. It's a good SC to knock out. She's going to be one of the highest damage dealers on your team. And that brings us to Cerise. Yeah, I know. a limited unit, but she's probably the most common limited unit as everybody summons for Guiding Light on the custom banners, so most people will have her. In a pinch, you can run Camilla, or as an alternative, you can run a DPS built green Asaria. Cerise is great. She has a dual attack on her S1, which allows her to dual attack with all three of these units, and all three of these units are good to dual attack with. Her S3 has a strip with a slow debuff, giving us triple redundancy on slow and on strip, as well as double redundancy on buff block. Song of Stars is the best artifact to run on her now that Brieg is spamming defense breaks. If you do not have a Brieg, you may want to consider Miss Confile for more chances at defense break. And last but not least is Fire Sirmia. This is just a standard Fire Sirmia. I do have her on speed boots to rotate her skills. You want to make sure she has her S1 EE for that extra hit. I'm running her on Border Coin. You can easily run her on the damage artifact and give a higher score, but I've got that on my Commander Lorena, so I guess the main reason I have her on Border Coin is because I've got no one else to put Border Coin on, and it's her artifact, so I'm letting her wear it. It gives her a boost to attack right out of the gate, and by the end of the fight, it's letting her do a lot of damage. So that's the team. Let's jump right in and see how the fight goes.
Sorry.
So we run it on full auto, everybody's skills on. Cerise will S3, this will trigger a defense buff on the boss. Brieg will S3 and pull that defense buff right off and replace it with a defense break. Brieg got 15% on the strip. Carmen Rose comes in with a second chance to strip. She gets 15% on the strip, so we've got the buff block, but the defense buff is still up. Just about the worst RNG possible. He takes a turn, defense buff falls away, buff block keeps it from coming back. Now we've got target and defense break. The Unity set on Brieg is really nice. You can put pen set on him for more damage. With as long as this fight lasts, I think the Unity set is max value. But really, it doesn't matter. You overkill this so quickly and so fast, you could put any set on him, really.
Grant me power, Lord Noyas.
Get ready to watch this animation a lot.
For your reckless greed.
Defense breaks reapplied, slow debuffs reapplied. The Pain Pursuer barely gets to take turns.
I'll take you somewhere nice, so be good and follow me.
With each meaningless outburst, you degrade yourself further.
How naive. Help.
Too slow.
There's that S1 EE proccing an extra hit.
There's no escape. Assist me. You owe me one. How about we try
Border
a
Coin
little
is up to
harder?
level 2
Can
now.
you
It's
hold
actually
out a little
contributing to
longer?
damage.
Shall we bet on it?
Out of respect, I'll use all my might. There's nothing more absurd than the arrogance of a fool.
A little
It's
help?
over.
I didn't want to have to do this, but it seems I have no choice.
Love seeing that S1 EE proc for that extra hit.
Why don't you beg for forgiveness?
Okay, we've got buff block up. Does Carmen Rose strip? She does strip, so the defense buff is gone. Brieg replaces it with a defense break.
For your reckless greed.
Help.
Now we've got defense break and target. We're doing max damage again.
I'll destroy you. Assist me.
I do have the 100% crit chance on Cerise just to help her with some survivability. Attacking is the only way to heal yourself, and the damage you do impacts how much you heal. She doesn't do a lot of damage anyway, so the crit chance neck helps her stay healthier. She actually lives longer with the crit chance neck than she did with an HP neck for me.
Keep watching, everyone. Enough.
And there's Border Coin 3, max damage now.
Give up now.
I'll take you somewhere nice. So be good and follow me.
I'll leave it to you. Help.
I got this.
The time has come. I have no mercy to spare. For your reckless greed.
Assist me.
I'm coming. There's no escape.
Okay, I want you guys all to notice the Pain Pursuer's HP bar. We had a good 2 or 3 rounds left before he went berserk, so you could do this with a much lower gear score and full clear. Now let's move over to the Ice Expedition. Didn't really change anything in the Ice Expedition team. It's the same Ice Expedition we've always been running. I made a specific DPS Sid for this, but any Sid will work. But let's talk about the other units first. The supporting cast is, of course, Roana in the front. Roana only needs to be a brick. The counter set is completely not required. I just have her built like this for RTA usage. All you need to make sure is that you've got the HP and the defense to take a hit and not die. Roana dying is the chief reason this run can fail. So build her tanky and with enough speed that she gets her barriers and healings off, and she should be able to tank everything up front for you. Mine does fine at this gear point. Mercenary Helga, build for damage, but make sure you don't go too nuts on her attack. You need to make sure she is lower attack than Sid. I'll discuss some ways to supplement that here in just a minute. I put her on the Victorious Flag artifact, largely because I have no idea what else to do with this junk artifact, so I put it on her for some extra damage, just to give that artifact a place. Now, you notice she has 3619 attack. If you use Lilka, she gives 116 attack to the top 2 rows. So you can stage her properly to make sure that her attack, which isn't shown here, so if your Sid is lower attack by, say, 100, you could use that, position her to give Sid the attack boost, but not Helga, and make sure that Sid has the highest attack. You could also use an artifact like Wind Rider to boost Sid's attack, but you want to make sure Sid's the highest attack unit. The EE doesn't really matter. The one that does slow is kind of nice. I like Elia's Knife. For damage, you can also run Dust Devil, which will give you extra attacks. You'll proc the healing more often. That might help with survivability if you notice your Roana's dying. You can also run a fast Sid on Wind Rider and clean up nicely. Lilka herself, I put her on Song of Stars because Sid packs a defense break, Helga packs a defense break, and even Lilka packs a defense break, so I gave her Song of Stars to have target on there as well. That should make sure that we keep the maximum amount of outgoing damage possible. Elemental Advantage, only need 85% effectiveness. Lilka does need, or crit chance, Lilka does need 85% effectiveness to stick her debuffs. Because my Sid doesn't need only the attack, I can give the attack to Helga, and I'm still making sure Sid is my highest attack unit, so I went ahead and moved Lilka to the bottom slot. But you can move Lilka to the top slot if you need to give Sid only the attack boost to get his attack higher than Helga's. And the reason for that is the Symmachus paralyzes the highest attack unit, and Lilka CR pushes the highest attack unit. So you want to make sure that the unit that's paralyzed, Sid, is pushed up by Lilka. Now, I know you're thinking, well, she'll just push up Helga. Watch when Helga does this attack, it CR pushes Sid as well. And it's the combination of Lilka and Helga that gets Sid all the way up to 100% CR. So you want to make sure Sid's the one that's paralyzed, not Helga.
Poor lady. Hey, please.
It's a little bit tough. Helga has much higher base attack than Sid, so it's a little tricky to make sure she is the higher attack, or that Sid's the higher attack unit.
Like the wind.
You see there, because Helga had the attack buff, Lilka pushed her, but that's okay. When the Symmachus does his ultimate, it strips everybody, and Sid goes back to being the highest attack unit. He's the one that gets paralyzed, and he's the one that Lilka pushes up.
Excuse me.
Are you scared?
Every 6 attacks, the Symmachus will take a turn and attack, which will heal off Roana, but it also removes 1 layer of debuffs.
May the holy light.
And that's why it's good to have every single unit on the team spamming defense break. Sid is once again frozen, Lilka pushes him up, and Helga finishes pushing him back up to the front. Now there's RNG in this fight, predominantly around the timing of Lilka and Helga's push. If Lilka and Helga do their push and then Sid gets paralyzed, you have to wait a couple of rounds before they can push Sid back into the fight, and you might not complete. you'll still score incredibly high. This team, on average, scores 1.7 to full clear. I have had 1 or 2 fights where it was in the 1.6 million, but usually at full clears. I'd say more than 50% of the time at full clears like this run, but there is RNG to it, so be aware that you won't always full clear, but a score of 1.6 to 1.7, somebody else will finish it for you, I'm sure. If you want to make sure you get 1.8 each time, just build a slightly higher gear score than what I've got here, and it's easy peasy. Wow, I overkilled the heck out of that one. We're going to run the same Brieg that we ran in the light expedition, no real changes here. Now my Brieg is built speed. You can run a counter Brieg, that would work just fine in any of the expeditions. I just like his speed to rotate his skills even faster. You do want him to have 35% effectiveness, his passive covers the rest. I've got 70% crit chance on him because the artifact he is wearing gives a plus 15 to crit chance, bringing him up to the 85%, and then his own passive covers the last 15% for the 100% crit chance. So he is pretty easy to gear. Remember, he is an HP scaler, and he is taking it in the face, so you want to have a lot of health on him. Try to be north of 20k health. Next, we're running Tamarin. I do think the speed's important. I think you want to be north of 230 speed, if at all possible. Her cycling, keeping your team healthy, is a big part of not dying in this, as well as Dark Expedition. Other than that, a tiny bit of bulk. Mine's pretty not bulky. The ER and effect resistance and effectiveness are not necessary. They're just there for other expeditions, though I do think 100% effect resistance really is good in this as well as Dark Expedition to keep her from being controlled, pushed around, having her skills reduced, etc. Likewise, I like Magahara's Tome on her. It helps cycle her skills even faster. We're using the same Lilka we've always used in this expedition. I've got her on Song of Stars for additional debuffs and damage, the additional 15% from target. She does need 85% effectiveness to land her debuffs, and you want her to be, somewhat fast to be able to rotate her skills. I put her on Unity set just because these are long fights, and Unity set's really nice to get those extra hits in, extra chance for target. And last I'm running a very, very scuffed Ram. And I mean very scuffed. She's near base speed. She's got 3 level 85 pieces on her. She's got a level 78 piece on her. Trying to do this with as free-to-play friendly gear as possible to show how easy it is to build this unit for this expedition. She doesn't really need effectiveness. You got plenty of debuffs other places. She doesn't need this artifact. It's just one that I had laying around. It's only plus 15. The only thing it does is boost her attack by 15%. You do a lot better with a whole host of other artifacts, from a Caladra to the new DPS artifact. Now, you can also run a damage rage Sid. You can also run a speed Sid. Either of them would work just fine in this. Or you can juice out your Ram. This is my fully built Ram that I made for this fight for a little bit faster clears. So at the start, Tam just heals you up, and then Brieg does Brieg things. He gives everybody a barrier, and that barrier is part of how Tam survives, being a fire unit in this ice fight. We get the defense break and slow. Lilka pushes up Ram, and Ram starts doing damage. Now here's the cool thing. This S3 from Ram gives her greater attack buff, and everybody keeps supporting that attack buff. If you attack buff a unit who's got greater attack buff, it increases the duration of greater attack buff.
Go away.
There's nothing more absurd.
So we're down to 1 turn left on greater attack buff on Ram.
Out of respect.
But Lilka's S2 is ready. So when Lilka pushes her up, she extends greater attack buff to 2 turns. Now we're back to 1 turn on greater attack buff, but now Tam transforms, uses her S2, and now we're back to 2 rounds on greater attack buff on Ram. So she basically gets to keep greater attack buff the entire fight. It's really unusual for her to lose that buff. We've got Lilka, who defense breaks and does target. We've got Brieg, who defense breaks on his S3, and also from his extra proc S3 from Focus. We've got Tam for attack buff, we got Lilka for attack buff, we got Tam for CR pushing, constantly cycling, which is how we're working this so well with low speed. And the Unity set pays off on Lilka, as well as having Unity set on Ram. She's not on Unity set with this build, but I did put her on Unity set on my other build to increase extra attacks from her. Just speeds it along a little bit. I want you to take a look at the damage that we've done to the Symmachus now. We're over 900k. We're past the halfway point on damage, and we haven't even hit the halfway point. He hasn't done his follow-up S3 yet.
Go away.
Listen to my song. Shine free.
Tam pushes up, more damage.
There's nothing more absurd than the arrogance of a fool.
Are you scared?
So we got to 1,000,000 points before the halfway point where he restricts us again.
The time has come.
Lilka's a little off rotation, so we have to wait a little bit. Tam pushes up.
With each meaningless outburst,
You get the slow debuff refreshed.
you degrade yourself further.
Yep.
And we push Ram up.
Please, leave it to me.
Go away.
I'll focus on one at a time.
So that was really unfortunate timing. It's taken a while for Ram to get her turn and to break that debuff off. Normally this is a lot faster, so I think this is a pretty low-end run by comparison. But we're still at 1.2 million with plenty of rounds to spare.
For your reckless greed.
Here.
1.4 million already.
More absurd than the arrogance of a fool.
I'm not so sure about
Ram
this,
gives herself
but
greater attack buff, which Tamarin should be able to extend.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's shine. For Lady Payra. On my way.
Go away.
Out of respect, I'll use all my might.
This one was a little closer than I like.
Each meaningless outburst.
The boss is ready to do his berserk attack, but thankfully Tam pushes and is going to let us finish it off. I do think at this gear level you might have the occasional fail.
I look silly, don't I? Together.
I'd say we had 2, maybe 3 hits left before he berserked on us, but still a clean 1.82 million. Easy full clear. Now, as I said before, you can do it with Sid. Here is a full clear using my damage Sid.
I'll carve you up. Excuse
And
me.
with the damage Ram that I showed earlier, it's even faster. I think Ram and Sid are pretty similar. I do think Sid is better. I think Sid will give you more reliable, faster clears, but this freed my damage Sid up to make a speed Sid, so I'm pretty happy about that, and it's nice that Ram has a job again. Feel bad for Helga, but it is what it is. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it makes your clears even faster. If you have any questions, ask them in the comment section, and as always, like and subscribe. Have a good one, everybody.